like the saying goes, everybody's looking for the perfect spouse or a good spouse, but who's willing to become the perfect spouse and the right spouse? Remember, the same way you're looking for someone who's a good person, that person is also looking for a good person. And this is where the self-awareness comes in. Self-awareness before marriage. What do I mean by this? I mean that when you're looking to get married, every single time we talk from the perspective of what you are looking for in the other person. So of course, naturally, you want to marry someone who is the right person. You want to marry a good person. You want to marry a suitable person. But the question is, and this is a very difficult question to ask yourself, are you the right person to marry? Are you a good person for someone else to marry? Yeah, everybody's looking at the other person. Oh, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. You have a mashallah, long list of criteria. Are you even anywhere near the level that you're looking for? This is the question. You know, like the saying goes, everybody's looking for the perfect spouse or a good spouse, but who's willing to become the perfect spouse and the right spouse? Remember, the same way you're looking for someone who's a good person, that person is also looking for a good person. And this is where the self-awareness comes in. And this is where I would say, my one piece of advice to especially those who aren't married is that do this exercise and work on yourself. And wallahi, don't do this just for marriage. Do this in general. In general, as Muslims, we should be looking to improve, find ways to improve ourselves, right? Spiritually. Like, for example, no one here can say, even though we're sat in a masjid and we just prayed Salat al-Asr, no one here can say, mashallah, spiritually, I'm at the top. I've reached the peak. I can't get any better spiritually. No one can say. If you said this, then there's something wrong with you spiritually, actually, right? There's arrogance, in fact. To claim that you're better and there's no room for improvement is actually arrogance. It's a big red flag. So if you're looking to get married to someone and they say, mashallah, I'm a good person, I don't think I can get, there's a big red flag. Khalas, don't marry this person. No, you have to be willing to, like spiritually, yeah, of course there's things we can do. Can you improve the quality of your salah? Yeah. You know, can I pray more? Absolutely. Can I give more in charity? Yeah, there's lots of things. Spiritually, right? Self-awareness, right? But even personally, there's personal qualities that you may have. And some of these qualities, and by the way, this is why we say the most important qualities in marriage, and the Prophet mentioned this, is of course going to be the person's sense of deen. The Prophet mentioned two things, a person's sense of deen and a person's sense of khuluq. Deen, religious commitment. Khuluq is a person's character. Person's character. And the reason why these are so important is because deen is, I don't need to explain why deen is important. Like I said at the beginning, when you marry someone, you're not just marrying them for your dunya, but for your akhirah as well, right? And this person, if they have a sense of deen, then everything that they will do, right, is, you know, they will be a good, if they fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you know you've got a good person on your hands. They don't do it because of you or because of their parents. They do it for the sake of Allah. So a person's sense of deen. But khuluq has to be coupled with that person's character. Now, a person can pray 5 times a day. So it looks like they have deen, but they could be a person of very ill character. What does that now mean? No, but they pray, so I'm going to marry them. No. Character is, in fact, character is just an extension of deen. Right? You can't pray and give in charity, but also be the worst person to deal with. You lie, you deceive people, you don't know how to control your anger, you put people down, you're self-centered, you're arrogant. How does that make? Praying is good, fine, but an extension of that is the prophetic character. The Prophet ﷺ would pray, the Sahaba, they would pray, and they would do all of these things, but they were the best people as well. In fact, when Khadija radiallahu anha, decided to marry the Prophet ﷺ, what did she see in the Prophet ﷺ? She saw a man of integrity, of honesty and truthfulness. This is what she appreciated the most about the Prophet ﷺ, right? The character of a person. And I always say that if your character is in order, right? If you have good character, what does that mean? It means that the other person or you treat people well. And the person of character makes you feel good, respects you, treats you well. Because why? They genuinely have a good sense of character, right? Then this is all that matters at the end of the day. In any relationship, the thing that matters the most is how does that person make you feel? Do they treat you well? Do they respect you? Do they have good qualities? That's what counts at the end of the day. In marriage, you can have all of these other things. The person could make good amount of money. The person could be whatever. All of the other boxes are ticked. But if they don't have good character, then a few years in, you're living with this person. Remember, every day you have to see them and deal with them. You want to make sure this person is a good person, right? And this is why, firstly, I say that we think about ourselves. That am I a person of good sense of deen and character? Have I built myself to this level? I'm not talking about perfection, by the way. None of us are perfect. We all have weaknesses. We will have days, even when we're married, when we show, like we get upset, we do something, we will regret saying something, whatever. That will happen. But I'm saying, generally speaking, consistently, do you have a good sense of deen and character? Are you actively working towards bettering yourself in this regard? This is, for me, the most important exercise that a person can do. Even if you're already married, doesn't mean that you've made it now, because relationships can always be improved. Focus on these. When you see a person, don't just be blinded by all the fancy thing, the title, just the way that they look. The character. You want to get to the core of this person, their heart. This person has a good heart. They're a trustworthy person, a person of integrity, a person who, let me give you an example. A person who can't control their anger, right? Person who can't control their anger. Person who has a temper, right? Then this is a problem, right? This is something that we need to work on. Because, wallahi, if you can't control your anger and you have a loose tongue, and then you end up, you don't know how to treat someone when you get angry. We all get angry. We all get upset. When you get married, there's going to be disagreements. There will be disagreements. There will be things that you disagree on. There will be some arguments sometimes, conflict. It's natural. Every marriage has this. But imagine every time you get into a disagreement, you lose your temper. You get angry. You start shouting. This is not a good quality to have. This is not prophetic either. So you want to work on this. You want to make sure you work on this yourself. If you have this, or in the other person before they get married, you want to make sure that this is something. Another quality might be, a negative trait might be that you are someone who is quite stubborn. If you ever disagree with someone, you can never accept that you are wrong. You always have to be right. You always have to have the last say. Even if you've made a mistake, you've done something wrong, you're too stubborn to admit it. You never apologize. You never own up to this is not a good quality to have. And when you get married, imagine if you do this with your spouse now. And you did something wrong, and now you're being too stubborn to admit it, and you don't apologize. How long will that argument last for? A long time, trust me. Days will go by, you're not speaking. Why? Because ultimately, you don't want to admit that you're wrong. You're too stubborn. Yeah, sometimes you have to, as we say, you have to really suppress your ego, right? You have to suppress the ego, put it to one side and say, you know what, I messed up, I'm wrong. And you just start over again. You just start over, right? Ego is a big thing. Ego gets in the way a lot in life, but especially in marriage. You have to sometimes, deflate the ego, put it to one side and just admit, sometimes you make a mistake. Other days, your spouse will also do something wrong. You just need to be accepting. You just need to realize where you've gone. This is just some examples I'm giving you. At the same time, you can have positive qualities. You can be truthful. You can be someone who is generous, kind-hearted, well-mannered. These are all good things. But just remember deen and khuluq, right? Religious commitment and a person's consistency in their character are the most important things. So inshallah, work on these things. This is what I will leave you with, is the best preparation that one can make is to work on these qualities even before marriage. Right? If you are dedicated to this, then at the end of the day, if the other person makes you feel good, if they treat you well, if they respect you, your marriage will be far longer lasting than any other marriage. But if you can't respect the other person or treat them well, then this is something that will eat away at your relationship.